What's going on, everybody? Safar Sadek here. Damn, can a motherfucker catch a break, man? Anyway, judgment, another judgment upon Babylon. And they're going to just keep coming. I want y'all to look at this map. Yeah, I know it might be small, some of your devices, but I mean, if you can, blow it up and take a snapshot of it and blow it up, because this is important. This is a FEMA zone map. And if you look closely at it, you'll see the projected path of this so-called Hurricane Ida. It's supposed to go up and do like a hook shot to the northeast. And the red line that runs into it is the Mississippi River. Now, did I not warn you all a few videos back, specifically the one entitled It's Go Time? Did I or did I not warn you all to get y'all's asses on the west side of that river? I distinctly remember telling y'all to do this. Now, this hurricane, even though they got it projected to do this upper right hook, that's not guaranteed. I'm going to go into precepts here in a little bit and I'm going to show you. But that motherfucker's sitting about right there now at the mouth of the Mississippi River as it dumps out into the Gulf of Mexico. Who's to say that bitch won't ride the entire river? I'm going to show y'all. So if you look at this FEMA zone map, everybody in, well, not everybody, but most everybody in FEMA zone 4, specifically the eastern part of 6, the eastern part of 7, the southern part of 5, and the western part of 3 are going to get pretty much, you know, the brunt of this shit. And as I go into the precepts and read them and everything, I'm going to explain how you all are going to be affected in these areas. And they're all pretty much centered around this fucking Mississippi River. And I told you all to get as far west of that river as possible. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you know, I understand that people have situations and people's faith may not be strong enough to cause them to move. Well, guess what? Shit like this right here will force you to move. And I did tell y'all in several past videos as well that there will be forced migrations into certain areas where the Most High wants you to be by sheer force. And this is just one of many examples. Now, who's to say that there's not a few other storms like this, probably worse, just behind this one? Y'all follow what I'm saying? All right, let's get into these precepts and everything. Then we're going to do a rundown of the devastation you can expect in these particular FEMA zones. All right, let's go ahead and get up in here and read some of these precepts. Then afterwards, I'm going to do a rundown list of things that I want to talk about based on these precepts, which you can pretty much expect out of the next week or so. All right, let's get it. Let's look at Nahum chapter 1, verse 3. Ahiah is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Ahiah hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, what we know as hurricanes and tornadoes. And the clouds are the dust of his feet. That's Nahum 1 and 3. I remember when I heard this back when I was in the Apostolic Church about 15 years ago. I thought this was rather fascinating because before then I had never heard this scripture. And so I put it here because it's very fitting for what we're talking about and what's going on. Okay, let's look at Luke chapter 25, verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. Yep, we've been having a lot of that lately. Damn, blood moons and all this shit. Meteorites flashing across the sky, which is get ready to increase in frequency. And here pretty soon, we're going to have 2 big ones that's going to hit. I've already covered that. And upon the earth, distress of nations, that's going on right now. and it's get ready to really start getting off the charts here within this month. With perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Yep, hurricanes do that better than anything else. And that's Luke chapter 25, verse 25. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 2. The sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Today they call it storm surges. And that's Jeremiah 51 and 42. I'm going to go over all this in more detail when I go down that list. Let's look at 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 41. Fires and hail and flying swords, which are civilian and military aircraft, and many flood waters, that all fields may be full, flash floods, mudslides, and all rivers, in this case Mississippi, and connecting tributaries, with the abundance of great flood waters. That's 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 41. So yeah, you got all this and more to look forward to because of this storm. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's look at this right here in Jasher chapter 2, verse 6. Pretty interesting account that happened in history. And Ahiah caused the waters of the river Gihon, in this case the Mississippi River, to overwhelm them. And he destroyed and consumed them. And he destroyed the third part of the earth. In this context, Babylon, America, because when you look at that map, you'll see where the Mississippi River is. East of it ain't about a third of the United States is on the eastern part of the Mississippi River. Coincidence? No such a thing. And notwithstanding this, the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were yet extended to do evil in the sight of Ahiah. That's Jasher chapter 2, verse 6. Yep, you're going to see a whole lot of that here in the weeks and months following this shit. And the last precept, and I'm going to get into this list. Exodus chapter 15, verse 23. And when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter, or in this case, contaminated. Therefore, the name of it was called Marah. All right, at this point, I got 7 points, and the shit that's about to happen is by no means restricted to what I'm about to cover. These are just 7 main things that are going to trigger a whole bunch of other shit to go along with it. So stand by. All right, number 1 on the list, panic buying, increased shortages. Now, in case you've been living under a rock for the past 6 or 7 months, you should already know that there are many supply shortages in this country. Pretty much every resource in this country is stretched. A lot of the ships are still sitting over there in that harbor in China and select harbors here, as well as warehouses and shit like that. Whether it's done on purpose or not is irrelevant. A shortage is a shortage. And I'm sure a lot of you have already, been going to your local groceries or whatever and noticing that a lot of shelves are empty, or a lot of the things that you're used to being on the shelves are no longer there, and has raised a great concern. Well, since these people heard about this hurricane and everything, as if, supplies weren't stretched thin enough, a lot of panic buying started ensuing. Those that had the money went in and have already pretty much completed depleting the shelves, and whatever little bit of stuff they got in there, that's pretty much already gone. And whatever's left in there will be looted after all hell breaks loose. Oh yeah, so that right there, and that's before any major damage even hit, has already gonna start causing a lot of serious problems that are gonna last weeks, perhaps months after this shit. could trigger the damn second civil war in this motherfucker to just be the last nail in the coffin. But we'll see on that. All right. Number 2, massive power outages. Oh yeah, never let a good crisis go to waste, right? They've already been talking about cyber attacks on the power grid and have already done military drills, for that eventuality. Well, here we are. Here we are. Y'all know damn well. Look at this map here. Anywhere east of the Mississippi River, you're gonna be in some points on the west banks of the Mississippi River. Y'all gonna be without power. Y'all gonna be without power. And guess what? In case you don't know this, there are supposed to be like 15 nuclear power plants up and down the Mississippi River, all the way from Lake Michigan down to the Gulf. What's to say that some of them don't go offline, or they say incurred extreme damages, or just like they did when that one hurricane went through Florida and somewhere else, nuclear power plants supposedly went offline, and they was talking about it was the cause of the hurricane and blah, blah, this. Man, if they let one of these fucking nuclear power plants go offline and can't get their shit back online like it's supposed to, and those graphite rods get stuck in an up position in that reactor, and that motherfucker goes critical mass, it's gonna dump all that radioactive shit in the waters, just like that precept that I read to you, and it's gonna contaminate all those waters and all the connecting tributaries, and that in and of itself is gonna be a major fucking nightmare. That coupled with power outages. It's hot than a motherfucker in this damn country. And most of you people cannot live without air conditioning. You just can't. Your spoiled ass kids can't live without AC. Power outages also mean that a lot of medical equipment is going to be stressed. Some of it's going to give up. A lot of elderly aren't going to make it, man. They're just not. I mean, I'm just keeping it real with you. And what else will power outages bring? Backed up sewage. A lot of job losses because motherfuckers ain't gonna be able to go to work, no power, right? All this food and shit that y'all bought and you're not adequately equipped to be able to preserve it, you're gonna be throwing that shit out. Money wasted. And a host of a lot of other things that power outages cause. And they'll let the shit stay down on purpose too. Oh yeah, they will. Because see, a lot of y'all haven't taken the vaccine yet. See, all of this is gonna culminate, okay, well, our numbers are still low. There's still a lot of unvaccinated people out there, and that's going to cause pressure and sentiment against those that refuse to take this vaccine. And because you're outnumbered, some of y'all going to cave in. Imagine being homeless in this coming crisis. All these churches and organizations, so-called nonprofit organizations that you rely on to get your occasional shower and laundry done and get your daily lunches and, bottled water and shit like that, and your clothes gonna be closed, man. So y'all see what I'm getting at with this situation. It's not gonna be good. It may not be as bad as I'm saying it, is, but in some places it's gonna be fucking bad. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. All right, number 3, severe storm damage to the infrastructure. Now, everybody's already crying about, well, the infrastructure is, not what it need to be, and they're not putting adequate funds and resources into, the infrastructure because they know this bitch is getting ready to get sacrificed. They're not going to. So, yeah. This storm is going to exploit all the weaknesses in the infrastructure along its path, wherever that may be. Along with the, everything else is going to be going along too. So, yep, look for major infrastructural crises and stresses to reveal themselves. A lot of traffic going to have to be rerouted and diverted to other places, and next thing you know, you're going to have a large influx of people in places that don't usually see a lot of people, which is going to put a lot of people on edge. That if they're in case they're not already on edge, that's going to add to it. All right. Number 5. No. Excuse me. Number 4. Coastal and inland flooding. Yep. Storm surges and this shit. They talking about this shit supposed to be making landfall somewhere in New Orleans. How many more times y'all think that place is going to be able to get hit by storms like this? It may not recover this time. And a lot of the other places that, are in the path of this motherfucker may never recover, especially with supply shortages and, shipping delays and this and that and the other and worker shortages and all that. This might be, this might be the final damn draw for a lot of places, man. I'm telling you, this is another judgment from the Most High. The 400 years are up. Babylon ain't looking good now. I'm trying to tell y'all. So expect a whole lot of flood. There's a movie that's out. The name of it is Crawl, C-R-A-L-W. And it was about a hurricane that went through somewhere in Florida, and the alligator population got loose and into residential areas and places like that. As the water began to rise, these alligators started coming into all these different places where they usually didn't frequent, and a lot of deaths incurred that way. So, especially this motherfucker come up through New Orleans, around all them bayous and swamps and everything, expect shit like this. Alligators, poisonous snakes, and what the hell ever else is in these damn bayous and everything. They start getting deposited in areas where they normally don't be. So you're gonna have to contend with that as well as other wildlife they're gonna have to migrate too. So they're gonna have to, do what they can to stay ahead of this storm, meaning that wherever that storm is going, if you're in the path of it, look for a bunch of damn wild animals to show up. Oh man. Now let's go to number 5. Forced migrations, displacements. Yep. A lot of people will get ready to get deposited in places they may have never been before. That's going to cause a lot of added stress to them, as well as the people that live in these areas where they happen to show up. And everybody that show up in these areas aren't exactly nice. Some of these people are newly evicted. Oh yeah, we can't forget about that. This is going to be a landlord's dream. He may be she may just be a landlord of principle and don't even really give a shit about the profitability of the situation. They just want your ass out. Well, this storm is going to be the answer to their damn prayers. Get y'all's asses out of there. So a lot of people going to show up in areas they're not from. This is going to cause problems because the people that are there that stocked up or aren't stocked up or whatever the case may be are going to be targets for those that show up and may have run out of resources. You got to always think about this shit, man, because they're never going to tell you about a lot of this stuff in the news. So I'm going to tell you about it here. Number 6, hospitals overrun with mass casualties and death. Woo-wee. And not necessarily in the infected area, but the surrounding areas, which takes us back to number 5, forced migrations and displacements. You have a lot of people showing up at hospitals and everything, and people without insurance, people that don't have any money or this, that, and the other. That's going to cause a lot of problems. And if those areas are already stressed because of whatever, it's just a small town and, they're dealing with a lot of the elderly or whatever the case may be. Now all of a sudden you got an influx of motherfuckers flooding up in there with all types of casualties and everything. Look, I'm going to tell y'all right now, if you're not vaccinated, don't look for much of any help. You see, this is the perfect storm now. We're post 2019. If you haven't been vaccinated and you're on the move and everything, you're a moving target for everybody else that is. I'm just coming out and saying, I'm just going to tell you, the algorithms can do whatever it wants. I don't give a shit no more. But this is where we are now. And you're not being vaccinated. They're not going to care that you've been displaced or a evacuee or refugee or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. If you haven't participated in this bullshit, then fucking well for you. So that's the main thing you need to consider. All right. Number 7, civil unrest, rioting, and possible martial law. Yep, in the affected areas, you can expect a lot of this shit to go down because tensions are already high. There's already major divides in this country, but especially between those that are vaccinated and those that are not. And you just add all this other shit into the mix, you got the perfect shitstorm for a lot of not so nice shit to go down. And as you look at this map right here, you see that storm, like I said, either it can ride the Mississippi River or it could hook like they have it projected to do. But either way, it's going to cut a lot of y'all off and force you into these FEMA camps. Yes, because you don't know how to survive otherwise. Yes, I warned you all last week to get the hell on the other side of that river. And I didn't know anything about no Hurricane Ida or any of the rest of them. I don't go by that shit. I go by the spirit and, and by faith. Because I knew some shit was getting ready to go down, and being on the other side of that river is going to be your best bet. Because with you being cut off like that from the rest of the country, that's where the highest concentration of people are. That's where most of the damn destruction and death is going to occur. All right? Well, I thought I'd put this video together because this is time critical, because I'm sure a lot of this shit's already done started happening in the southern parts of Louisiana, whatever, and today being Sunday. What's the damn date? Today being Sunday, August 29th. So let's see how this thing progresses, man. Y'all better hope that, I'm wrong on a lot of this shit, if not all of it. And the thing about that is, I can afford to be I can afford to be wrong every time. I really can. You know why? Because I only have to be right one time, and a whole lot of people is gonna fucking pay for it. All right, peace.